We have, for years, wanted to find a new way into Blade. We love that character. We love that world.
Have you talked with them about any potential appearances or cameos in the future?
No, not as of yet. You know, I'm still working on my acting skills. So when I come up as an actor, maybe they'll reach out and say, let's have a conversation.
Some of us are against the Illuminati, and we are against the Illuminati at our own detriment.
Wesley Snipes, an A-list actor, martial artist, and the star of the Blade franchise, saw his career take a nosedive seemingly overnight. What really happened? What role does Katt Williams play in unveiling the truth behind Hollywood's dark agenda?
Are you not afraid about being blackballed again? These are some power people.
These people are not powerful. Satan can't create anything. That includes blessings for his people.
Hollywood's dark underbelly has ruined careers, but none are more perplexing than Wesley Snipes. How did an actor who once dominated the box office get blacklisted?
They don't feel maybe they don't feel that I'm an ensemble player.
What was he really punished for? And why is Katt Williams alleging that Hollywood forced Snipes into humiliating roles to destroy his image?
She's smart. She's from uptown. She wears elaborate clothing, colors, and she's a good friend.
From tax evasion to being forced to wear a dress, today we'll dive deep into the conspiracy that connects Wesley Snipes' fall from grace to Hollywood's systematic agenda, just as Katt Williams has been saying for years. But was it really just the taxes? Or was there a hidden plan to humiliate and silence him? Let's start with the shocking downfall of Wesley Snipes. During the 90s, Wesley was on top of the world, starring in iconic films like New Jack City, Demolition Man, and of course, Blade. However, the more Wesley got famous, the more he let fame get to his head. For context, after starring in Michael Jackson's iconic Bad music video in 1987, Wesley Snipes hit a rough patch in his career. He had to take odd jobs like working as a massage therapist and valet driver to make ends meet. But things started to turn around when he landed a role in HBO's Vietnam War story. That role led to his big break as Willie Mays Hayes in the 1989 sports comedy Major League, a movie that became a huge hit, grossing over $75 million worldwide.
I've been cut already?
With Major League being such a success, the filmmakers wanted to do a sequel. But by that time, Wesley had already gained some fame. And according to his co-star, Corbin Burnson, it seemed to go to his head. Corbin shared in an interview that when he told Wesley about the sequel, Wesley acted disinterested, making Corbin feel like fame had changed him. Wesley had signed with one of Hollywood's top agencies, and his agent, Donna Chavis, said Wesley was determined to become a superstar. But at first, Hollywood wasn't keen on hiring him because of his dark skin. His agent was even told that no one would cast anyone darker than Denzel Washington. Despite these barriers, Wesley pushed forward, taking risks with roles like Nino Brown in New Jack City, which turned out to be a career-defining decision. Wesley was riding high, but in 1991, he experienced a wake-up call. While filming The Water Dance, he borrowed a car from the production company, but when someone on set didn't know he had the car, they reported it stolen. Wesley was pulled over by the LAPD, handcuffed, and held at gunpoint, only to be released hours later when they realized the mistake. He called it the most humiliating experience of his life. Despite support from Black Hollywood during that incident, Wesley's relationship with the Black community became strained. As his career took off, people noticed that he wasn't showing up at Black events or ceremonies. His choice of roles, especially in interracial romance films like Jungle Fever and One Night Stand, further alienated some Black audiences. The real controversy came from an interview Wesley gave to Vibe magazine in 1993. In the interview, he spoke about his dating preferences, mentioning that he met a lot of white women through his work and felt more comfortable dating them. He made comments that many Black women found offensive, suggesting that dating outside of his race was easier and less work for him. He also implied that Black women were too difficult, which sparked a lot of backlash. Wesley didn't stop there. In a 1997 interview with Ebony magazine, he spoke about his new girlfriend, an Asian woman, and said that relationships with women from other races were more compassionate and less confrontational. His comments angered many, as it seemed like he was criticizing Black women rather than just explaining his personal choices. His controversial comments, combined with some questionable career moves, affected his public image. By the mid-90s, Wesley was taking roles that confused his fans, like his part as a drag queen in To Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar. But his fortunes changed when he was cast as the lead in the Blade franchise. The success of the film, starting with the first in 1998, re-established him as a major star. However, the production of Blade Trinity, the third installment, was fraught with issues. Sources close to the production and numerous industry insiders point to Snipes' reputation for being difficult to work with. Stories from the set of Blade Trinity, the third movie in the original series, paint a picture of escalating tensions and unprofessional behavior. Patton Oswalt, who co-starred in the movie, recounted some wild tales about Snipes' behavior on set.
Wesley Snipes was going crazy, and he wouldn't come out of his trailer, and you'd walk by his trailer, and this wall of pot stench would just like, whoa, and kind of push you to the side.
According to Oswalt, Snipes was so unhappy with the direction of the film and the decisions being made by director David S. Goyer that he isolated himself from the cast and crew, communicating only through post-it notes signed Blade. There were even reports of physical altercations and outright refusal to cooperate with Goyer.
He would communicate with post-its that he would give to the director, and each one he would sign Blade.
Given Hollywood's penchant for holding grudges, it's not surprising that such stories would sour Marvel on the idea of bringing Snipes back. But it's worth noting that Snipes himself has a different version of events. He's spoken out about how he felt marginalized and disrespected during the production of Blade Trinity, suggesting that his actions were a response to a hostile working environment. This negative press led to major studios avoiding Wesley, and many of his next films went straight to video. His career in the U.S. took a nosedive, and even South Africa declared him an undesirable person after he was caught traveling with a forged passport in 2005. But the biggest hit to Snipes' career took place when the actor was convicted on 3 misdemeanor counts for failing to file 3 years' worth of tax returns from 1999 to 2001, which apparently cheated Uncle Sam out of $7 million. The prosecution blamed Snipes for following the advice of both his accountant and another firm anti-tax proponent at his own expense, even though most people would agree it wasn't particularly the actor's fault.
I thought it was rather strange to be a client and be lumped in with the conspirators, but, stranger things have happened in the world.
Explaining why this route was chosen, former IRS commissioner at the time, Sheldon Cohen said, "People who do it openly and notoriously, you've got to go after them. Not because he's that important or the amount of money is that important, but because there are others who may be foolish enough to follow." What came as the biggest shock to the actor in all of this was the fact that his trial was intentionally blown out of proportion. During an interview, the actor stated that he didn't understand why the case, which he already believed to have a wobbly foundation, was tagged as the biggest trial in history.
The idea that they classified it as the biggest trial in the history of the... I thought, wow, am I really that important?
When it was all said and done, Snipes, who had already paid millions of dollars in taxes, was sentenced to 3 years in Pennsylvania's McKean Federal Correctional Institution before being transferred to the New York Community Corrections Office for home confinement. At this point, the actor had basically become radioactive in the industry. In addition to his legal issues and on-set behavior, Snipes had been blacklisted by the industry. After the success of Blade, Snipes struggled to find roles that matched his talents and stature. He starred in a series of films that were either critical or commercial failures, such as The Art of War, 2000, and Undisputed, 2002. These choices didn't help maintain the momentum he had gained from his earlier successes. Moreover, Snipes' insistence on maintaining a high level of control over his projects often led to conflicts. For instance, on the set of Blade Trinity, Snipes reportedly clashed with Goyer over the creative direction of the film. His desire for more input and control is understandable for an actor deeply connected to his character, but it also alienated him from directors and producers who were crucial to his continued success. The media played a significant role in shaping public perception of Wesley Snipes during this period. Reports of his difficult behavior and legal issues were widely covered, often with a negative slant. This constant negative press reinforced the image of Snipes as a problematic figure, making it harder for him to secure roles and rebuild his career. Many point to the infamous tax evasion case, where Snipes was sentenced to 3 years in prison for failing to file tax returns. But was that the real reason Hollywood turned its back on him? Some believe it was a convenient excuse to blacklist him. After all, Hollywood has a history of punishing those who don't play by its rules. Wesley Snipes' downfall fits a pattern of Hollywood turning on those who challenge its power structure. But as we'll see, the tax case may have just been the beginning of a much larger conspiracy. Perhaps the most controversial chapter in Snipes' career came in 1995 with the release of To Wong Foo, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar. Wesley Snipes, along with Patrick Swayze and John Leguizamo, played drag queens in the comedy. For many fans, seeing Snipes, known for his tough guy roles, in a dress was shocking.
She's smart. She's from uptown. She wears elaborate clothing, colors, and she's a good friend.
Katt Williams has long argued that Hollywood forces black male actors into cross-dressing roles as a way to strip them of their masculinity and dignity. Eddie Murphy, Martin Lawrence, Kevin Hart, all have done it. And now, Wesley Snipes. Did this role mark the beginning of the end for Wesley Snipes? According to Katt Williams, this was no coincidence. Hollywood wanted to send a message: comply or be destroyed. This theory isn't just about wearing a dress. It's about power. There's this talk that entertainers are kind of blackmailed into wearing a dress on screen, almost like a rite of passage before they can level up in the fame game. And it's not just Katt Williams who's been talking about this. Even Dave Chappelle has touched on it. In 2006, during an appearance on Oprah, Dave spilled the tea about why he turned down a whopping $50 million deal from Comedy Central. He wasn't in it just for the money because, as he explained, big bucks often come with some serious strings attached. Dave, being in the showbiz game since he was 14, had seen and heard stories about what happens behind the scenes. He pointed out examples like Mariah Carey landing a $100 million deal only to end up mysteriously labeled as crazy a few months later, or Martin Lawrence making it big and then suddenly waving a gun on the streets, screaming about someone trying to finish him. It's those stories that had Dave cautious. When Oprah grilled him about these tales, Dave spilled the beans. He'd seen this scenario play out before, always when someone's career was teetering on the edge of a breakthrough. Dave felt the heat to churn out sketches that didn't just make people laugh with him, but laugh at him. It felt like they were asking him to embarrass himself just to cash in. Dave Chappelle even remembered being asked to don a dress for a movie he was doing with Martin Lawrence. He walks into his trailer, spots the dress, and thinks there's been a mix-up. But nope, it's for a scene where Martin's character disguises Dave as a hooker to break out of jail. Dave's like, nope, not happening. That wasn't part of the deal. They tried to push him, saying it's comedy gold. But Dave stood his ground, saying he didn't need a dress to be funny. Things got heated with the writers, directors, and producers all pressing, but Dave stuck to his guns. In the end, they scrambled to come up with a new scene sans dress, leaving Dave to wonder, how did you whip that up so fast? Dave just didn't feel right about it. It wasn't about the dress itself, but he felt like the industry was pushing black artists into roles they weren't comfortable with, just to make it big. They kept pressuring him until they realized he wouldn't give in. Going through this made Dave see things differently. It took being asked to wear a dress for him to realize he wasn't alone. Other black men had faced the same pressure. Think about Martin Lawrence in Big Mama's House, Eddie Murphy in the Nutty Professor movies, and Jamie Foxx's unforgettable Wanda in Living Color. Even the Wayans brothers tried it with white chicks. And remember Juana Man? Not as successful, but still part of the mix. And then there's Tyler Perry, who really took the cake with his Medea franchise. Meanwhile, Kevin was all about artists protecting their reputation, setting boundaries, and not compromising. He was sticking to his principles without any dress drama. When the topic of wearing a dress for a role came up, Kevin was clear. Nope, haven't dealt with that dress situation. You gotta know your limits and keep your brand intact. He was all about avoiding anything that could harm his image. Kevin even mentioned turning down a request to do something silly on a talk show because it wouldn't fit his brand. He was all about protecting it.
Definitely haven't ran into to put on the dress. I mean, you know, you have to have boundaries. You have to have limits that you refuse to cross.
But here's where it gets interesting. Just a year later, boom, Kevin's on an SNL skit rocking a dress. Fans were not having it. Accusations of selling out and being fake started flying around. But here's where it gets tricky. Kevin, in defense mode, starts saying nobody forced Martin Lawrence into Big Mama's House, or Tyler Perry into Medea, or Jamie Foxx into Wanda's dress. It was a choice, according to Kevin.
One of those comedians that said, no, I wouldn't wear a dress. There's no way I would wear a dress. And then when proposed with the opportunity of what I felt was funny, I said, oh, that's funny, I'm gonna do it. It's all about choice. You know, nobody makes you do anything.
Right.
Nobody says this is what you got to do. This is the only way that you're gonna do it.
He's hitting us with the "it's all about choice" narrative. But then there's this counter argument floating around. People are saying it's not just a matter of choice. Kevin himself wasn't okay with the idea before the money talks began. When the cash starts rolling in, suddenly integrity takes a back seat. It's like money becomes this magical thing that makes people do stuff they swore they'd never do. And truth be told, when that paycheck comes into the picture, folks tend to reveal their true colors. Remember when Steve Harvey dropped that bomb about integrity? He straight up said, "Give me $10 million, and I'll embarrass myself all the way to the bank." He was willing to throw his integrity out the window for a hefty paycheck. It's a harsh reality, but hey, he put it out there.
10 million for 4 million. Black people will be so embarrassed by my performance, you'll be sitting up there just going, look at this big lip son of a...
Now back to Kevin Hart. After he did the dress thing, his career went through the roof. He became the highest paid comedian ever, raking in cash like no one else. It's like the dress move was the golden ticket to success in the comedy game. People might argue about the sacrifice of integrity, but at the end of the day, Kevin was laughing all the way to the bank. Anyway, as for Snipes, could he have been blacklisted not just for the tax evasion, but for refusing to play Hollywood's game? Katt certainly thinks so, and the evidence seems to support his claims. Wesley Snipes' tax evasion case has always seemed odd. How could someone as successful as Snipes fall into such a legal trap? While tax evasion is a serious crime, some believe that the severity of Snipes' punishment was orchestrated as a way to silence him. In recent years, Wesley Snipes has openly criticized how Hollywood, and particularly Tyler Perry's films, often portray dark-skinned men as villains or negative stereotypes. Snipes, who has always prided himself on maintaining his dignity and integrity, sees this as another example of how Hollywood manipulates black men. For Snipes, the issue isn't just personal. It's a larger problem of representation in Hollywood, and this critique likely didn't win him any friends in the industry. Snipes' refusal to take roles that he felt were beneath him or that perpetuated these stereotypes may have further cemented his status as an outsider in Hollywood. After serving his sentence and spending years in Hollywood exile, Wesley Snipes has slowly started to rebuild his career. Snipes was one of several new additions to the Coming to America cast, although it wasn't his first time getting involved with the franchise. He had previously auditioned for a role in the original movie, but was turned down by the casting director in favor of one of his close friends. Talking about it in an interview, Murphy noted that he wanted to include Snipes in the sequel after working with him on another movie. "Last year, I did Dolomite Is My Name with Wesley Snipes," Murphy told Jimmy Fallon, "and we had such an incredible time making that film and had such strong screen chemistry. I just wanted to work with him right again. We went right into this."
Last year I did a Dolomite Is My Name with Wesley Snipes. Had such a strong screen chemistry. I just wanted to work with him right again, and we went right into this.
Looks like if not for Murphy's intervention, it might have taken a lot longer for Snipes to crawl back into the big leagues. But even with the help from his friend, we can't exactly say things have picked up for Snipes since his series of disasters. His role in Coming to America showed that he still has the star power, but it's clear that the industry hasn't fully welcomed him back. But why is it taking so long for Hollywood to re-embrace one of its most talented stars? Could it be that the powers that be still view him as a threat, someone who refuses to be controlled? Wesley Snipes' blacklisting wasn't just about taxes. It was about control, power, and punishment. Hollywood has a history of breaking down those who won't play by its rules, and Wesley Snipes may have been one of its biggest targets. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.